Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Reviews. And today we're giving you guys a review of the new album from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard titled PetroDragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Beginning of Merciless Damnation. So that was a bit long to fit in our intro, but you know what? That's okay. Now, this album title, the longest album title I think I've seen, definitely the longest we've ever done on the channel. This clears anything else we've ever covered in terms of album length. Sorry, Rob Zombie, but these guys got you beat. Anyway, this album came out in June, and I was kind of pushing for us to cover it because I heard a little bit of it. Someone had it on at work one day, and I thought, yeah, whoa, like these guys are like doing like more metal stuff now. Like that's cool because this band releases tons and tons of albums. This is like their 24th album or something.
It's their 24th album, and they debuted in 2012.
Yeah, like, so that many albums in like 10 years.
They released 5 albums last year alone, and one of them was a double album. By the way, that's 24 albums, not including EPs, not including compilations, and not including live albums, of which they have many of those as well. This band is crazy busy.
It's ridiculous, the work rate of this band. And also considering that this is apparently technically part of a double album. From what I was reading up, that this album is kind of like a part of a yin-yang thing they're intending on doing. So apparently the next one's going to sound different but have some kind of relation. This is also a concept album from what they said, and they're like, yeah, it's about like wizards and dragons and witches and shit. That's pretty much what they said.
Makes sense. That's what all the songs are about.
Makes a lot of sense. So, you know, I liked what I heard just based on that listen, so I'm like, yeah, when we get like an available week, let's totally cover it.
Here we are.
And here we are reviewing it. Now, you know, early on, I was kind of thinking this reminds me a bit of Voivod, this reminds me a bit of Tool, like those are the kinds of the vibes that I'm getting. The intro and outro of Dragon sounds like something I'd hear from Catafalque. I don't know if that came into your head a little bit.
Didn't, but yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But like when I heard that, one day I was listening to the album and Dragon came on, I'm like, yeah, this sounds like something I'd hear from Catafalque. You know, just kind of like a page out of that book. And I wouldn't say that, you know, these guys are definitely influenced by these bands. That's just what I was reminded of with how this album went out. And what was really cool is that it's very riff-centric. Like, I haven't heard much other King Gizzard stuff, maybe like a song or two here and there. Not really much. This is like my first like full album from them. Lots of cool riffs, like constantly. There are a lot of riffs that kind of like got me to turn my head like, yeah, this is cool, this is grooving, I like this. Another thing to mention about this album, apparently there is a vinyl exclusive track, which is 14 minutes long. There are a few long songs on this album. There's 3 that clock in around 8 to 9 minutes. The first track and the last 2. But it would be funny, like, to add on to that at the end of the album. Yeah, here's another one, and it's 14 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it makes me wonder what that track sounds like. I didn't get the chance to check it out, and considering it's a vinyl exclusive, we wouldn't include it as part of our review anyway, because it's essentially a bonus track,
right? Just
on a specific medium of the album.
Yeah.
So it kind of leads me to one of the issues I have with the longer songs. Now, you look at Motor Spirit, which is the first track, which is cool, it's got this riff, and then they go into like this part with all these like bongos and whatever kind of playing, and it kind of sounds cool and whatnot, but it kind of feels like it just kind of takes over the song at that point. You know, they kind of go there, and then that's just where the rest of the song is. Which, it's weird because I don't like the fact that the song did that, but I like the section anyway. So it's like, how much does that matter? You know?
I feel like that's just like the progressive nature of the song though. Like if you listen to any prog music, they do that a lot.
Yes, but I find that when you're composing longer songs, it kind of tells a story and it comes back to where it came from, which is what Dragon does.
So this one just was too disconnected. The parts of the song were too disconnected from each other, and they didn't revisit a certain aspect of the beginning to kind of tie it all together.
Yeah, and with Motor Spirit, it's not as bad. I feel like the only one that actually is like the most problematic in that regards is Flamethrower, which is the last track. This song starts and it kicks you in the ass. The riff is sick, it's mean, it's hard. It starts with this drum fill. It's like, whoa, this is sick. Around the 4-minute mark, it ends, and it's like, cool. And then kind of the same stuff that happens in the end of Motor Spirit happens here. And even though I like how it sounds, it makes me wonder, like, why is this here? It really has nothing to do with everything else I just heard in Flamethrower. And it's like for like 5 minutes. But it sounds cool anyway. So
well, in Flamethrower, they repeat Motor Spirit at one part over and over
like
again. It's almost like they're setting up for the album to repeat. Like they're almost introducing the next song, which is track number 1. And I thought that was kind of weird because for the longest time, every time that came on, I was like, oh yeah, Motor Spirit again. And I had to realize it was actually a different song saying the other song's name.
I noticed that and I thought that was cool. I wish that it kind of actually legitimately properly looped on itself. I don't feel like, because a lot of songs lead right into each other. And it sounds cool. The transitions sound cool. I just wish they did that well for the end, so it's like an actually like endlessly looping album. And I think that would be a cool idea. But yeah, now Dragon, I feel like does the long composition a bit better. It's got its sections. It comes back to where it came from.
The intro rap is again at the end, basically.
Exactly, like it bookends itself, which is nice.
Yeah.
The first song that really stood out to me was Supercell. And it was kind of just an infectious groove. The hook caught on to me. I got hooked by it, and it was nice. It was cool, and I like that. You know, it's not overtaken by long songs. Like, other than those 3, the songs don't get longer than, like, what, 6 minutes or so?
They're all around there,
like, average length songs.
It's a 48-minute album and 7 tracks.
Which...
do the math, average, yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty long for 7 tracks, but 3 of them are, like, 8 to 9 minutes.
Well, for prog, it's, like... I guess kind of run of the mill.
But to a degree.
To a degree.
Another song that starts with a really cool drum lick is Converge. Just thought it sounded really cool every time it came on. It's like, whoa, what was that? Right, okay, here we go.
I actually noted that it was a drum solo. I thought it was like, I mean, it's probably a mini solo, but yeah, it was cool. Awesome at the beginning.
But yeah, another one that I kind of liked as well was Witchcraft. Like, the most common note I was writing for this album was like, that's a cool riff. That's a cool riff. This is a cool riff. I like the solo from Witchcraft, though. That was a point that stood out.
Yeah, I wrote that in my notes as well. I'm glad I'm agreeing with TV Fish on a lot of things, because it kind of validates what I was thinking, so that's interesting, too.
Well, expand on what you got. You agree with me on a lot of stuff?
I agree with you on a lot of stuff, and I also want to just kind of say that your comparison or your reference to Voivod and Die Catafalque, I agree with those as well, and I'm surprised I didn't catch those. But I was hearing a lot of references to kind of like 70s prog, like Yes and Rush and Rainbow and Uriah Heep, and also like early heavy metal, Judas Priest, Motorhead, like a lot of vibes from that, but mixed with like mid 2000s Tool. Like I was getting a lot of the vibe. Like if you listen to Motor Spirit, I think I might have mentioned this at the beginning of the week. There's that section at the end that sounds like Third Eye by Tool.
Yeah, you did mention that.
So that's cool. Like, it's cool to hear all that, but it doesn't sound like a ripoff. It just sounds like, you know, that style of music.
And it's really for the Third Eye part. It's like the rhythm. You can sing the prying open my third eye part over that.
Exactly.
It's got the rhythm.
Exactly. So yeah, this is. I think you mentioned already. This is kind of our introduction to this band. Overall, I did go back and listen to a bit of their other stuff just to get a grasp of what they kind of sounded like, and this, from what I heard, is more metal sounding than anything else they've done.
Yeah.
But I didn't go listen to everything. Like, they have a lot of material, like we mentioned.
That's kind of why I caught wind of this album and I was pushing for it. Like, yeah, they kind of did like a pretty metal album. Let's cover it.
Exactly. So this is heavier. This does suit our tastes a little more, which is cool. I like the fact that there's a wide variety of instruments on this album. I looked at the band members, and they all perform vocals. Like, there's a main singer, but everybody else does backing and helps harmonize and everything like that. They all have lists of instruments that they play. Just all kinds of stuff, like sitar, harmonicas, various percussion instruments. Just creates a very full and diverse sound, which is always something that's good. It's always something that makes a band sound, I guess, fresh. And it also helps a band sound unique and different, because there's so many different things happening that it's hard for them to just sound like something else. Like, it's hard for them to sound like a regular 5-piece band, right? They're only a 6-piece, but they got a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
right. It really fills the sound.
Even so, like they have the kind of callback to Motor Spirit on Flamethrower, but it starts to get more synthesized and they start making it more electronic.
Exactly.
And I really liked that part. I kind of wish that was its own track, because you got to go through all of Flamethrower to get there.
Yeah. So we mentioned the transitions already, and this is a spot where I'm at a kind of a crossroads, because the transitions are some of the best I've ever heard. Super smooth. And I'm talking tracks 3 all the way to track 7, every song is a smooth transition into the next one. Does it sound awesome? Yes, it's great. My problem with it is, I feel like I can't listen to any one of those songs without the rest of them. I feel like I have to listen to them all together, and that's essentially two-thirds of the album. So I was very hesitant. I didn't add anything to my playlist. I might go back and do it. But because I don't want to add, for example, Witchcraft, I don't want to add that to my playlist because I want Gila Monster to come on after that. And then I want Dragon to come on after that because they just feel so good together.
That was another one I actually liked. Gila Monster. That was another one that started to stand out.
Honestly, I think Converge, Witchcraft, Gila Monster, Dragon, and Flamethrower, I think those are all phenomenal tracks. Those are all great songs. Supercell, I think honestly, they're all good tracks. But that run from 3 to 7, I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff going on here. They're doing a lot of things, a lot of time signature changes. These guys play around a lot. They like playing in 5/4. They really like doing that, which I think is really cool. They do a lot of cool things, a lot of syncopated things. I had to ask TV Fish at one point through the week, like, what time signature are they playing in this? Because he knows his shit. That was in Gila Monster. It was like about near the bridge section, I think.
Wasn't it like 11/8 or something?
No, it was alternating 6/7 and alternating 6/4 and 7/4, I think.
I think
something like that.
I think it was something that you would count as a compound.
It was something you count as a compound, but I didn't make a note of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was 11/8. So then it's
11/8, okay.
What you do, like if you're obviously if you're performing 11/8, you're not going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, like all the way up to 11.
You're going to count 6/4 or 6/8, and then.
So you're going to count. You're going to do a count of like 5/8 and a count of like 6/8 because that makes 11.
But they do that in other songs too. On Witchcraft, they do a 6/4, 7/4. Alternate was 13/4, but again, you're not going to count to 13. But they did that kind of stuff a lot on the album, and it keeps it fresh. It keeps it dynamic. It kind of keeps you on your toes as a listener, but it's not too complex. It's not too crazy. It still feels grounded. It still feels accessible.
I think that's like a really big thing for a lot of progressive music, that if you can keep it held down enough that you can still dance to it. Yeah. Meshuggah's amazing for this, by the way. Like they are one of the best in terms of like, they got this technical thing going on, but you can still dance to that because you still got a quarter note on the right hand on the cymbal, still grounding you. Yeah. And I feel like this band does that as well. And for reference, we talk about counting one number, counting another number. You can tell like an entire phrase, let's say for example in Gila Monster is 11/8. That's the full phrase. It is in 11/8. It's just when you're performing it, you're not going to count that full number. So you're going to count it in a way that's a lot more comfortable, which is why you would count 5 then 6, or however the phrase is more comfortable to you. But it is in 11/8 in that regard.
Yeah, it's all fun stuff though. If I had to gripe for one more thing, the vocalist on this album, like the main singer, I'm not too fond of the voice. I think it suits this band fine, but if this guy was singing in any other band, or if it was an isolated vocal performance, I think I'd probably like dislike it. I'm not quite sure. I was having a weird relationship with his voice throughout the week, where some parts I go, oh yeah, it's actually, that's a kind of a cool note, but was that him? Or maybe that was one of the other members, right?
Do you think he suits the music well in that regard? Like, do you think...
that's what I meant when I said like he fits this band. So I think it's fine, but it's like I felt like every time I focused on the vocals, that's where I started to go kind of like, oh, I wish there was like somebody else doing this. But if there was somebody else doing it, would it fit? That I'm not sure.
Did it sound like that when you checked out some of the other stuff they did? Like, did you feel the same way?
To be honest, I wasn't thinking that way when I was listening to the other stuff. I was just more like listening to like, what style of music is this? Is this the same kind of like more metal orientated stuff? And it's kind of like, it's got the edge, but it's not as edgy. It's a lot more like classic rock feeling in a way. A lot more tame. So, I mean, this isn't metal to the point where it's like there's no blast beats and there's no like, I mean, there's some solos, but there's no super shredding stuff. There's no harsh vocals. Like, it's not like extreme metal by any means, but it's still got that like almost like classic heavy metal, and classic progressive metal feel to it.
It's like you just listen to a song like Flamethrower, and then it just blasts you in the face like, whoa, what is this? Yeah, I gotta check this out because that riff is killer.
Yeah, and there's killer riffs all over the album, like I said. And then you know what? Talking about the vocals, like there's stuff I did like in what song was it? Witchcraft and also Gila Monster. Those woos, woo.
Oh yeah,
like Ric Flair style woos. They do that in both those songs. which is another reason why I feel like I can't have one without the other, because they tie together so well. But they just happen at certain parts. Like, I think the solo happens in one song, and at the end of the solo, he does goes, woo! But, like, just to cap the solo off. Like, awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, you know, just kind of randomly done in the studio. Just, it wasn't planned, just did it in the recording, and it got on the album.
It sounded good.
Just ad-libbing, right? Which, yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, overall enjoyable week. I think I'm ready to rate, unless there's anything else you want to add.
Oh, let's rate this one.
All right, so before I rate it, quickly, sorry, I had one more point to make. I wonder if it's King Gizzard in the Lizard Wizard. Who says it's Gizzard? I don't know, because they had a festival called Giz Fest, and I think that'd be hilarious if it was Giz Fest. Just me. So maybe it's King Gizzard in the Lizard Wizard. Food for thought. Anyways, I thought this was a great album. I think it's pretty strong. All 7 tracks have something memorable about them. They all are enjoyable tracks. I really, and this sounds so weird to say, I wish that the transitions weren't so smooth for so many of the tracks in a row. Okay, a couple tracks, cool, smooth transitions, that's great. But to have the whole last 2/3 of the album essentially just blend so well together, to me is a fault. But it's not enough of a fault. So this is gonna get a toe tag for me. I thought this was a super fun album. There's so much going on. Super talented band, great writers, great composers, and I had a lot of fun with this one. So toe tag from me.
Fun is a really good way to describe this album because it's just consistently entertaining. And I feel like it's also a very standout album in general. Like, we mentioned other bands that this band sounds like on this album.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like a carbon copy. It's like, this is its own thing. It's creative, and it stands out among so many other bands. A common criticism we have on this channel is that stuff is stale, stuff sounds like everything else. This does not do that. It's full of constant good riffs. It's just an overall fun album. Like you said, it's gonna get my toe tag as well. Like, it's such a entertaining album from front to back, and there are a lot of moments and small bits that are memorable. And that's another big thing. We check out so many bands and so many albums. We've been doing this channel for years, but this is gonna be one that we're gonna remember because it was cool. It's got this long ass title. It's got a lot going for it.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, that's it. PetroDragonic, Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night, and Annihilation of Planet Earth at the beginning of Merciless Damnation is going on the 2 toe tags list. So be sure to leave your comments down below. Let us know if you checked this album out and what you think about it. And if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should, and let us know what you think about it. Subscribe, guys, and do the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys in the next one.